So this commenter says, so you were better off from 2021 through now than you were from 2017 to 2020? Question mark. Interesting. You're definitely in the minority with that opinion. What did Trump do in his first term that hampered, and TikTok cut off the last line, your daily life? We can go with the last part first, and then we can go into the time frames. Trump hampered the daily life of people around me for sure. Trump appointed Supreme Court justices that made the difference in overturning Roe v. Wade, which hampered the daily life of the women in my life, especially my daughter and two granddaughters who live in a red state where they no longer control their bodily autonomy. My wife, daughters, sister-in-law, mother-in-law, aunts, cousins, and whatnot and what have you have to be very careful about what states they travel to at certain times in their lives because of the draconian laws that have been able to be passed in those states as a result of Trump's Supreme Court picks. He also ignored a global pandemic, causing the reaction to it, the response to it, to be much, much worse. And ultimately, what ended up happening is my children had to be homeschooled by me. My daughter, she had to do her entire sophomore year of high school from her bedroom. My wife worked in the bulk agricultural export industry. And as a result of Trump's failed trade wars with China, the retaliatory effects of those trade wars were China doesn't buy as much or didn't buy as much bulk agricultural exports from the United States as they used to. They were now starting to buy it from South America in retaliation to Trump's tariffs, which caused workload for my wife's company to shift dramatically, which caused the owners of that company to ultimately bring in other people to try and figure out why the company was no longer making money. Trump did many things to affect the daily lives of many people in his first term. I mean, we're talking about a guy who left office with fewer people working than when he came into office. It's the first time that's happened in decades upon decades upon decades. Now, you say here, you were better off from 2021 through now than you were from 2017 to 2020, and that I'm in the minority. Almost every single person I know in my life is better off now than they were back then. Almost everyone. The stock market is higher. All of their 401ks are doing better as a result of it. Millions more people are working now than under the Trump administration. And I'm not just talking about people that went back to work who lost their job. That was bad enough, the millions of people that lost their jobs during the pandemic, the last year of his presidency, Trump's presidency. But we've surpassed pre-pandemic numbers by over 3 million new jobs. I'd say that the daily lives of those people are much better than they were back when Trump was in office. I mean, in every conceivable way, our lives are better. We're not bowing to our enemies and treating our allies like shit. We're not taking the word of a KGB dictator over our own intelligence agencies, at least not until the 20th, when that all goes back to the way it was under Trump. More people are working, the stock market's doing better, unemployment's at a 60-year low. I don't know if you recall 2020 or not. I'll refresh your memory. Most of the country, most of the world, couldn't even go out to go to the movies, go to restaurants, go on vacation, go to see a ball game, go to their kids' sporting event or an event at school. All of that shit was shut down. Why? We had a global pandemic and piss poor leadership at the very top. Somebody who was caught on audio tape admitting to downplaying it so that he didn't look like an asshole. So that he didn't have to come up to the podium and go, I know I said it was a few people coming in from China and we were going to have that number down to 0, but yeah, fuck that one up. That's all he had to do, by the way. That's all he had to do was take to the podium and go, I know I said it was a few people coming in from China and we were going to have that number down to 0, but I was mistaken. This is worse than I thought it was. So we are going to shift gears and get our arms around this thing and get it tackled to the ground for the betterment of all of the people in the United States of America. That man would have won re-election in a landslide. We would have never had the Joe Biden presidency. That's all he had to do, but he can't do that. So yeah, I am way better now than I was during Trump's presidency. Way better.